Hello and welcome to another episode of the SaaSOps show. My name is Justine and this is my colleague Brian. Today we'll be talking about onboarding employees in our new reality, sharing our own work from home setups, and honestly, whatever else we can think of. How are you doing today, Brian?
I am doing great today, other than I am continuously tired and no amount of coffee will change that apparently. It is weather-wise better than it used to be. It was snowing a few days ago in Chicago where I'm at, but it's not snowing now and it's like 62. So, you know, that's normal.
That sounds amazing. I wonder if that's helping you not sleep very well. Just the uncertainty of the weather times.
Most of my existential dread is weather-based.
Okay, well, that's good. There's a few other things going on though that you might need to be worried about as well.
There's something going on?
Oh,
I'll have to read the news maybe. So
yeah, I would recommend it.
I'm excited for this second episode of the SaaSOps show. We got some great feedback about episode 1 and even heard that some of you implemented the things that we told you to do, which means that we can tell you to do more things. So that's great. And this is definitely what it's all about. Knowledge sharing in IT is the most important thing. It also It also serves to remind us that despite the industry you serve or how big your company might be, somebody has been through this before, and they can be someone you learn from or just have an opportunity to vent to. I definitely vent a lot myself.
Yeah, it's just constant venting.
like a tea kettle just steaming away.
Yeah, I mean, I know that for me, I think that this is like a really interesting field to be in for corporate IT and SaaSOps, just because there's not really a one-size-fits-all education program for it. None of the people that I've worked with in, the last 11 years have had like formal IT degrees or anything like that. So we're all sort of learning on the job, trial by fire, or just through osmosis from other people. The first time that I went to a BetterCloud customer conference, actually, it felt like a breath of fresh air because I was finally meeting a bunch of people who were trying to build this community that did the same thing. Like there were a lot of communities for like systems administration or developers, but there really wasn't like a SaaSOps community. So it was very exciting to get together with people and hear them talk about having the same problems that I was having. It felt like home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was exactly the same way too. I went to the first BetterCloud customer conference in Austin in 2017, I think. And that was really the first conference that I had been to either that I walked in and was like, oh, you do the same thing that I do. This is awesome. Because normally, a lot of them are like really, really high level. You're a CIO leading a company, or and then they're all about change and all that stuff, or they're really, really technical focused, as you mentioned. And this was like real people doing real things.
Yeah, the first one in Austin, I think, was the first one that was branded as Altitude.
Oh,
good
to know.
Yeah, there were armadillos. I remember that fondly.
That's true. There were armadillo races.
I don't know how she. Actually, I know. Well, I do know what she likes. All armadillos seem to like a very vigorous one, so I think it maybe is a little numb.
I don't think my armadillo ever won, but it's
maybe one
source
day.
of disappointment. So, speaking of home, we weren't, but speaking of home, we are still working from home, and we've officially been working from home since like the second week of March now. So, and we know for us that it's going to be extended to at least the end of May. And so a couple of things that have changed or things that we've noticed since we started. We haven't gotten a ton of increased tickets. I know I hear this across the board that a lot of companies have suddenly had a huge uptick in tickets for their internal IT teams. I don't think we've had like a moderate increase, I think, and most of the issues are kind of predictably either I want to get into VPN, or I've never used Zoom before. How do I use Zoom? Do I even have a Zoom license? Why do I have a 40-minute time limit? Things like that. And hardware issues too. I think it's a little bit, there's a lot of like drive-by conversations or really quick, easy hardware swaps that happen in the office that maybe are a little bit more challenging to deal with. And we're going to talk about some of the logistics of hardware situations in general when you're working remotely. But those are the kind of things that I noticed going on.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot more hardware tickets come in that, as you mentioned, something that would be pretty easy to look at in person. If someone just drops by and they're like, I can't log in, I can't do this, whatever. Now it's a lot more difficult to try to remotely solve some of that stuff. One of my first jobs was doing remote support, and I remember I had this like list next to me in my cubicle that was like, here's some things to go through to talk people through to try to explain what to look for. And so we have to kind of go back to that mindset now, whereas most of our hardware support for BetterCloud at least has been in person.
Yeah, you really have to go back to the fundamentals of the basics. Every time I would troubleshoot, or a lot of times when you troubleshoot something in person, you can go from step 1 to step 14 just by like intuition and looking at something. And you really have to stop making assumptions about what's happening at this point. I've had a few, what I would say to people when they're troubleshooting hardware is, don't think that you're too good for just a FaceTime call. I've had people FaceTime me and they're like pointing their phone at their computer so I can kind of see what's on their screen, and it's out of focus and it's blurry, and I'm like giving them like movie director notes, like, okay, now pull back a little bit more, now aim towards the corner, now I need better lighting, I'm gonna need a costume change. But it's to be honest, it's way more effective than I think a lot of back and forth, or like, please describe to me the things that you see.
Yeah, definitely. We also had like a pretty large new hire class that started 2 weeks into our mandatory working from home. And while we had been pretty good about prepping internally on our team for bringing home like spare computers in case of these hardware issues and having to potentially send something out, we were starting to see supply chain issues affecting orders that we had put in for new computers. We were waiting for an order direct from a manufacturer that we had placed probably like a month before we started working from home.
Yeah.
And it never arrived. We had to end up putting in a second order from a VAR, and we had to have it shipped to a team member in another department who had door staff in their building, because the rest of us couldn't really get packages very easily.
Yeah, I basically like pulled people from teams that were close to us of who lived the closest to me and who had a doorman, because I ended up walking over to her apartment to get like 16 computers and try to transport them to the office. It was pretty wild. And actually that shipment that never showed up, not only it took them a month till they finally shipped it. So by the time that they had actually shipped it, we had closed our office and the building was closed. And so they were never able to deliver it. And they made updates they sent updates to FedEx to say, like, you have to redirect this delivery. And I guess FedEx didn't get it or whatever. They were busy too. And eventually it just got shipped back to them. And we got refunded or I don't even know if we were charged, but it was like a $30,000 shipment that just got back to the manufacturer. All right. But that getting your teammates to let you ship them tons of computers is a pretty good in this together kind of moment. And then it was also really interesting to onboard 10 people on a video call at the same time. If you think having a Zoom call or a Hangouts call with 3 or 4 people can be a little bit of a challenge, people talking over each other, 10 people who are all new to the company and don't necessarily know how to get acclimated to their computer and get everything set up, that was fun. It was a lot of like okay, now wait, what did you say? Okay, now we're going to go down the list. And I'm just going to ask you, okay, can you sign in with your password? Can you sign in with your password? Did you change your password? Can you get into your email? Sort of, you have to play like ringleader a little bit on it.
Yeah, and very similarly to the hardware issues we were talking about before, we usually do this onboarding in person, and we can just go over to someone's computer if they're having trouble setting up two-factor or whatever it may be, and this kind of gave it an additional level of complexity. So everyone on our team was actually on the call just to be able to like sidebar with people if they needed help.
Yeah, it did take a little bit more overhead. We had to get more people on to help things. But it worked out. I mean, we had to make some changes to our onboarding workflows too, because previously we would rely on people being able to get the communications that they needed and sign onto their computer, but because they were in the office, we could just tell them to do specific things. But now we had to send more information to their personal emails to be able to get on their computers in the first place. And then, for people who left during this time period too, it's kind of the same process. We have to send them boxes with shipping labels, and then we also lock their computer automatically via a BetterCloud workflow command. So we use Jamf as our MDM provider. It sends out a command to lock their computer when they're offboarded. And then they have to take that computer, label it back up, and then send it back to us. And another logistical challenge is, again, figuring out who they're going to send that computer to. We're all in different locations. We have a debate about, whose packages are most likely to get stolen.
Who has the amount of space that can accommodate more, computers to hang out, because not all of us are in-house. We might be in small apartments.
Just stacks on stacks.
It's actually what my work from home setup looks like. It's just like a stack of computer boxes.
The monitor
That's
that
why
I'm
it looks
using,
so good. It's elevated.
The monitor that I'm using is sitting on top of like a MacBook Air shipping box right now. I think there's a MacBook Air in it. I should probably make sure that we don't need to wipe it or give it to somebody else. But everything is boxes. My actual computer's sitting on a book and a couple of magazines. It's great.
Thick magazines, maybe?
What magazines?
Ones? Just like, how thick
No,
are these magazines?
there's some like thick boy magazines there.
Okay.
I've got some like, some home remodeling ones and lots of pictures. It's a good one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, before we close, we wanted to share a quick reel of a few of our colleagues' offices or lack thereof. I've personally found it really fun to see what everyone's working with and how they have it set up. Obviously mine is just boxes, so that's me, but you'll see some fun pictures here.
Yeah, we've seen some wild stuff, including, but not limited to, a real life actual treadmill desk in like a full ergonomic setup. And yeah, we're sitting here with cardboard boxes. It's great.
Yeah, the treadmill desk was actually amazing because for one of our all hands meetings, one of the themes was Zoom backgrounds. So this person had kind of this background where it looked like they were just walking down the road, and it was a really fun use of space.
Yeah. The things you see working from home.
It's amazing. Nature is truly incredible.
Cool.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us for another SaaSOps show. Boom,
Yeah.
boom.
Bam. See you next week or sometime.
Yeah. Definitely let us know if you like what you hear or see, and if there's anything else you'd like us to talk about. Really appreciate you taking a look. Thank you, and #SaaSOps.
Hashtag SaaSOps. Oh,
I know.
my
I'm
hand is
super
pointing.
cool.
Ooh.
Oh.